back, everyone, in our first game of the day, Gambit beat Fnatic, and I'm here with Lee Smith and Martin Official Lunge to talk about how they did it. And let's start at picks and bans. Gambit coming out with a very well-rounded comp, Korean inspiration, but the Caitlyn, which you found a little odd.
Almost, yeah. I mean, I wouldn't say I found it odd, but at least Kog'Maw would have been the preferred pick over in Korea, especially with Nami, because yes, you lack some mobility on the Kog'Maw, that's why you have Nami to help you, to peel for you. Caitlyn can survive on her own, and also, I think the reason he actually picked Caitlyn was because he wanted to be more safe versus Lucian in lane, first of all, in case they got into 2v2, and also because he was afraid of the Shyvana or Yana shockwave combo coming towards him. If he was Kog'Maw, if he didn't have flash, he would just be caught by it and die.
And it showed because it was Gambit that moved, made sure they stayed in that 2v2 lane swap, made sure they didn't get initiated, go 2v1. So they made sure they stayed in that 2v2. And obviously that led down towards the bottom lane, which was where the Dragons, where Gambit really just kept things going on the Dragon. Obviously it left top tower open to Reckless. They pretty much, Fnatic were taking towers throughout that game, but Dragon control, as Diamond had just mentioned, was all about Gambit.
Absolutely, but yet when we were watching it in the beginning, we thought Fnatic taking all those towers, will Gambit bounce back? And much like the game versus SK, Fnatic just couldn't keep it going.
Well, first of all, when you get all these towers, you should at least get full control of the map. So it means next time Dragon spawns, all the outer turrets are gone from Gambit. Fnatic could go into the blue side of the jungle from Gambit, put up a lot of wards, just wait for them, spot them out around the Dragon, kill them, take the Dragon, move on. Instead, they kept focusing on towers again and again, so they gave the Dragons to Gambit here. And if you can't even control the Dragon, when you have so many towers down from the enemy team, your map control is awful, just to say it straight up, and your decision making isn't correct, because it was too easy for Gambit to pick up these Dragons, to stay even in gold, even though they were so far behind, and then get to the point, especially where Jax, and also, of course, Genji and Caitlyn could really start to shine in team fights.
And it was a strange issue because Fnatic basically was so fast in their movement, their fluidity, you know, they let or pressured the Dragon. I think it was the second Dragon in the game, and then when they took the mid tower and the blue buff and basically kept Gambit away, and then again they did the same tactical movement. Instead they pressured them, and then Gambit quickly defended the mid tower, so they went straight up top and took the in-aim turret. So Fnatic were quick at reacting, but for some reason they didn't really work with the pressure on the map.
I mean, we have to give them some credit. It was a great start early on. They got all the towers down, it was good movements. Gambit were on the back foot pretty much the entire early game, especially when it came to moving around the lanes. There was always a lane pushing from Fnatic they could rotate to, take a tower, go back to the other lane, take the next tower. Gambit just had to run behind them all the time trying to defend. So credit to Fnatic here. But it's simply the fact they didn't control the right places on the map at the right time. Sometimes it felt like they placed, I wouldn't say too many wards, but they had wards so many different places where they wouldn't even be going. So they invested a lot of vision into, let's say, the top side when Dragon was about to spawn, which meant there was not enough vision down there, or they weren't in a position to then take the Dragon when it actually spawned, so Gambit could go in and get it. So maybe they were a little bit too far ahead.
And talking about objective, the objective of objectives, Baron, of course, not going in Fnatic's way, and maybe they tried to go for it at a point that Gambit's comp had just scaled too much already.
So, scaled too much already, it's a bit hard to say, because the comp from Fnatic wasn't bad in the late game. I mean, they had a lot of champions who, with Lucian, Shyvana, of course, Orianna, all do really well in the late game. It was more the fact that Gambit managed to hold them off from starting the Baron, and if you start the Baron at this point here, let's say you're 5 members, there's 4 members from Gambit waiting around, you're going to take some damage from the Baron. You're going to get in a bad position where, as Trevor mentioned a lot of times, if you group up together, Wild Growth comes in on the Jax who jumps towards you, knock up multiple members, like we saw in the big team fight where actually Gambit turned everything around, it's very, very hard for you to do anything. So once they got grouped up around this Baron here, it was easy for Gambit to just hold them off again and again and continue to farm and then wait for the right team fight when they were strong enough and get the kills they needed, and also the Baron.
Yeah, and of course, you know, from there, obviously Gambit went on to basically take the advantage. As Trevor mentioned, they went from 2,000 gold down to 6,000 gold up and suddenly equal in turrets. But you got to look at Gambit, and while it was a good win, it was far from a convincing win. You could look at when Darian jumped in with Jax, Genji was recalling in the mid and went back to base. So they're still not quite on the same page right now. So there's still issues in Gambit.
Yeah.
It seems at least a little bit solo queue play for the team in general. Also why they were on the back foot in the starting the laning phase. They weren't ready to defend the towers. They didn't predict, okay, where's Fnatic going to push next, or do we need to stop this wave up top lane? What's going to happen if we don't stop it in the next minute? And that's what Fnatic were better at doing it. And that's also where it shows for Gambit some solo queue mentality, maybe some shot calling, which wasn't on point. I'm not sure if Alex was actually the shot caller for Gambit or not. But obviously, if he was, it's hard now for the next guy to step up and learn it. So it could take some time.
Well, in any case, a good victory for Gambit, but a lot to work on for both teams, I think, is the conclusion. And now let's head back over to Joe and Quickshot for our next game.